I built a $1 million frozen food company, multi-million dollar frozen food company on 50 grand. There's a lot of talk around balance and life balance, family and wanting kids. And I agree, it's super important. I don't know if it's 100% realistic because it's never been harder for entrepreneurs to raise capital. I actually feel like almost like the hardest days are over. I mean, when I had nobody and I was doing everything on my own, I mean, that was a struggle. But for me, I mean, having a business was everything. That's all I ever wanted.
Get ready to speed up your journey with the Smart Growth Rocket podcast, hosted by Francesca Cadhit.
Are you interested in taking your knowledge, career, and money to new heights? My name is Francesca, and you're listening to Smart Growth Rocket, powered by TopClassEdge.com, where I share real-world examples and stories from successful in-the-know experts. If you want to make the most of your education, career, and money by learning from incredible go-getters, this show is for you. Hello, Smart Growth Rocket listeners. Exciting times ahead as we dive into entrepreneurship, specifically women in entrepreneurship and lessons in business with a powerhouse who's revolutionizing the freezer aisle. I'm Francesca, your host, and I'm thrilled to introduce the brilliant Chelsie Hodge. And let me just tell you a little bit more about Chelsie. So check this out. Chelsie is the founder and CEO of Blender Bites. She has been an entrepreneur for as long as she can remember, and she bootstrapped to get this brand off the ground. Blender Bites was born in 2017 after Chelsie had an aha moment to make a healthy and nutritious smoothie in the morning that would simplify the process and yet contain the healthy ingredients that she wanted.
You are watching the Smart Growth Rocket podcast on YouTube.
So like many of us, she felt guilty for throwing away kale that had gone bad in the fridge and grew frustrated with having a freezer full of random frozen fruits. So she froze them all together in a muffin tray. The result? Superfood smoothie pucks made with clean ingredients and a strong focus on functionality and simplicity. Welcome, Chelsie.
Thank you. Great to be here today.
Amazing. Now, before we really dive into things, today's interview is all about, as I mentioned, entrepreneurship, specifically women in entrepreneurship, and the lessons we can learn from building a successful business. So why do you think this subject matters, and what's important for all of those who are tuning in today?
Yeah, I think, in my life, especially, I see a lot more young women wanting to sort of just own their lives, own their schedule, own their financial freedom. And for me, that was so important. And that's one of the main reasons I turned to entrepreneurship. But I think it's just empowering to know that, we can take control of our lives, and we don't necessarily need to work 9 to 5. We can create our own schedules. We can work from anywhere in the world that we want. Of course, it takes a lot of hustle and grit, and you got to have the right personality and, a lot of dedication, but, it's just so empowering to know that, in this day and age, we can do anything we want.
Absolutely. And speaking of which, so I happened to come across your LinkedIn page, of course, and okay. I started scrolling through some of your posts, and there was a fun post where you're posing as a Barbie. The caption says, "This Barbie is innovating the frozen category." So tell us a bit about your story and what led you to this mission of innovating the frozen category.
Yeah. So as you mentioned, I literally just got tired of, making 2-3 smoothies a day. A little history. I was actually working for a company called Vega at the time. And Vega is another huge Canadian success story. Charles Chang, was one of the first with the plant-based protein products on the market. So I was working for Vega, really into the whole plant-based smoothie lifestyle, making 2-3 smoothies a day, but, adding different fruits and greens and powders and probiotics and collagen. And I was like, this is actually getting to become quite a process, not to mention super expensive. So I took all the ingredients I wanted in my smoothie, and I, had this blender that I just blended everything up. And then by chance, one of those miracle chance things, I had a red silicone muffin tin that my mom had given me. If I had a metal muffin tin, this whole idea probably wouldn't have happened, because with silicone, you can pop out the pucks, right? So I froze my smoothie mixtures into this red silicone muffin tin. The next morning, all I had to do was pop one out, and then all I had to do was add water. I was like, well, wait a minute. I just saved at least 15 minutes. My kitchen's not a disaster. I don't have product going bad if I decide to go to Whistler for the weekend. So I started handing them out to my friends, and I actually went back to Charles Chang at Vega, and I was like, what do you think of this? And he literally said to me, he's like, it's not a matter of whether or not you should do it, it's who's going to do it first. And I was like, okay. So this category did not exist when I first started, working on this project. And I think that's one of the big reasons why Blender Bite's so exciting. If you can create a solution for your customers that isn't on the market right now, you're going to get some serious trajectory. And that's exactly what's happening right now. I was also lucky because I started with very little capital, and I was about 3 to 4 years early on the category. So that allowed me to grow very slowly, like you said, bootstrapping, working full time in another job. My mom, my two aunts, every single weekend, we'd rent out this little tiny popsicle shop in North Vancouver. We were hand making the pucks with the same silicone muffin tins. I went out and bought 1,000 of them from Canadian Tire. So, mixing all the product in garbage pails with like cement mixers. I mean, mashing the bananas myself that I picked up at Whole Foods on the way to the plant. I mean, it's just so funny when you look back at the story now. But that's how you have to do it, right? It's about improvising and just finding a way and just making it happen. So started off really slowly. The category was starting to become, sort of popular. You'd see Whole Foods adding coconut water to their fruit section, and then maybe little wheatgrass squares to their fruit section. So you could kind of see this smoothie category developing within the frozen fruit category. Now, fast forward 6-7 years, I mean, we're hitting the US market just when every single retailer realizes that this is something big and they need to have easy smoothies in their frozen fruit category. We've worked out the kinks, we've rebranded, we've reformulated, we've done everything we needed to do to perfect the product to hit the US market right at the perfect time.
You're watching the Smart Growth Rocket podcast, powered by TopClassEdge.com.
Let's talk a little bit more about that rebrand, because that's really exciting to me, those frappes, the one-step ones. So tell us a little bit more about the rebrand and adding functional ingredients to blender bites.
Yeah, so I knew that consumers don't just want frozen fruits anymore. I mean, they can easily do that themselves at home. I think it's really important to have value add for your products. So we add a blend of 12 vitamins and minerals, but they're not vitamins and minerals that are synthetic from a lab. They're actually vitamins and minerals that are derived from whole foods. So for example, my vitamin D comes from organic mushrooms. The vitamin C comes from organic cranberries. So it's a powder that we add into the product to really boost the nutrition profiles. We're adding ingredients like collagen into the fraps. We're adding lion's mane mushroom, which is an adaptogenic mushroom that's great for focus and clarity and, just mental health. So, knowing that consumers want more, we're picking ingredients that we know are going to be super trending, but also super healthy for customers. Like I add all this stuff to my diet and I notice a huge difference. And I just want to share that with the world. The rebrand was important. We wanted to have a bright package. Our logo in the past was boring. You have to have a super strong brand. So we got to work. It took us a few months, but we really, and to be honest, I mean, I worked with a smaller designer, but the packaging was, my vibe, my energy. Like I put all Chelsie into this packaging. So I wanted it bright and fun and eye-catching and just really self-explanatory too. So moving away from the language of superfood smoothie pucks and moving towards one-step smoothie, one-step frap. It's super clear. The market will understand what it is. Creating fun flavors like Power Berry and Daily Defense and Tropical Glow, because we've got, skin enhancing ingredients. So every flavor name tells you what the product is. So Power Berry's got energizing B vitamins. Daily Defense is for your immune system. So it's got probiotics and ginger and turmeric and camu. So super clear for the customer to understand why they need that flavor.
That's incredible. But I actually wanted to talk a little bit about your experience with Vega, speaking of all this. So you got your start in the plant-based sector in 2006 while working for category disruptor Vega, as you mentioned. So here you received a crash course on the ins and outs of entrepreneurship and what it takes to start a consumer goods brand. So can you share with us maybe some memorable lessons that you took away from this quote unquote crash course?
Yeah, it was great because, every week Charles would bring the whole management team in, and they had to present to the whole office. So, I was an inside sales rep at the time, but every week I got to hear lessons from operations and then marketing and sales. And, we were down in the production facility, hand packing boxes and learning everything from, production of the product to, selling the product, the operations, to marketing, to packing it up and shipping it off to the stores. So it was really a great, like you said, crash course. And I just feel like I learned a ton, but I also learned a lot from Charles and just sort of seeing what he went through, because it's emotional, highs and lows of startup, especially I think even more so today, because it's never been harder for entrepreneurs to raise capital. And I think that's the biggest issue right now with a lot of brands. I have a lot of founder friends that, have companies doing $10-20 million in sales, can't raise money. So how are the people that are just getting started or doing less than $1 million in sales raising money right now? It's almost impossible. So the landscape has changed a lot. And that's actually one of the reasons we went public back in September 2021. It was a way to raise capital. We were lucky enough that we found a great family office that's been supporting us all the way through. But it's pretty tough. But Vega definitely was a good crash course. Charles is still a mentor of mine. But, just having exposure to all those different facets of the business, I think really helps mold an entrepreneur that, has the ability to wear many hats, which I have over the past. I've worn every single hat from day one. So yeah.
Even mashing the bananas yourself.
Oh yeah, all of it. Exactly.
Oh my gosh. And then speaking of going public in 2021, Blender Bites is just exploding. So funny story, I went to try to pick up some Blender Bites. So I went to Loblaws. And I don't know, they must have been sold out because I could not find them. But anyway, you're on Loblaws, Longo's, Whole Foods, Walmart, probably more. And so Blender Bites also just announced several business developments and a new rebrand with packaging redesign, distribution news as your full product line is now available at Walmart Canada nationwide, and a new partnership with US actress, performer, and entrepreneur Julianne Hough as a brand partner, a shareholder, and a strategic advisor as the company prepares for a US launch this fall. So first of all, how cool is that? And second, what was the process like of getting onto those shelves and being part of these incredible collaborations?
Yeah, I mean, I think, we didn't use a broker. It was me working with our distributor. So first of all, your distribution partner is very important. Finding someone that, can really be a partner for the brand from the early days where it's just growing. So we used a great distributor, Tree of Life, from the very beginning. And then we brought on a broker last year, which really elevated things for us because they already have all the relationships. So, it's important that you factor those margins into your pricing model, because I really do think having the right partners is very important. And if you're one person, you can't be managing, 10 different groups all day long. So it's really important that you have, the right partners. So, and they have the relationships already built for many, many years. So they can walk into Loblaws or Sobeys and present a product and it's much easier for them to get it listed. I mean, at the end of the day, your product is what sells itself, but having those relationships is really key. Walmart US, incredible. So, that was about 18 months in the works from the day that we first started talking to the buyer to August 21st, which is going to be our launch. So we've been on shelves now for a few weeks. But that's huge for us. And that's our big entrance into the US market. So for us to be, making that entrance, with a retailer like Walmart US, the biggest retailer in the world, I mean, we're going in with a bang for sure.
Yes. I mean, every day must just be a roller coaster ride. So, I mean, is there a typical day in the life as CEO and director of Blender Bites? Is every day just completely different and a wild ride from one day to another?
Yeah, I mean, I think you kind of get used to it, like you sort of get accustomed to expecting fires all day long. And then the fires just don't seem as bad. I mean, you just really get that backbone and the thick skin and you just learn to handle it. And I think, if you have the proper team, like I'm lucky enough now where I actually have a team here to support me, it makes it feel a lot less stressful because you have people to talk to and you have people that have, years of experience that have been through this already that can help you through things, right? So having that solid team is so important, but also just taking the time for yourself. I mean, your own mental health. I've got my dog, Molly. She's like my angel that I turn to every day when I'm stressed out, and I just take her outside and we run around the yard and you come back and you're like, you know what? It's not that big of a deal. So you just find your way, you work it out. But, over the years, I actually feel like almost like the hardest days are over. I mean, when I had nobody and I was doing everything on my own, I mean, that was a struggle. It was during the pandemic. I was living alone, working alone, no team. I didn't have Molly at the time. Like, it was just, those to me were my hardest days. I feel like now I'm just excited. Like now we're at the point where it's just like every day is just nothing but excitement. We're presenting to new retailers. We're flying down to Texas next week to talk to a big retailer. So, I mean, it's great. Yeah. And having Julianne Hough is also super exciting. So we just did a big photo shoot in LA with her. So that's going to be an amazing collaboration. We knew that we had to get the story out fast, right? So once we're on the shelves of Walmart US, okay, who can we have that's going to help us tell the story, who has an amazing platform, and she's the one to do it. So we're super excited with that.
What does it take to go from whipping up smoothies in your kitchen and to heading up this amazing team that's bringing a launch to the United States?
Yeah, I mean, lots and lots of time. I mean, it's been, people kind of look at it like, oh, it's a big overnight success, but I mean, it's not. It's been, I mean, from the day that I actually had the idea, it's been probably 8-9 years, right? So we were first on shelf in 2017, but I first had the idea in 2014 or something. So, finding that initial seed capital, sort of touching on the money front again, is really hard because in the early days, I mean, you're going to your friends and your family. It's called a friends and family round. I didn't necessarily want to do that. I didn't have that ability, and a lot of people don't. So finding that first believer in your product is so key. So that took me a couple of years, and I finally found somebody that, had that foresight to realize that this was a new category coming out. But, I started with 50 grand. So I built a $1 million frozen food company, multi-million-dollar frozen food company on 50 grand. But that's, not paying yourself for multiple years. That's another thing I think people don't realize. Like, you got to be prepared, which is why I was bootstrapping and working at other places. And, I had investments I was working on. So it's different things, but not paying yourself, finding people in the industry that can help you, that, sort of advise you for free. You're calling on a lot of favors in the early days. But, and I think that's another thing where Vega really helped me. I had incredible people that I could turn to. That, had helped Vega, that, were willing to help me get started, which is great.
Amazing. And there are so many aspiring female entrepreneurs and first-time entrepreneurs tuning in. So what would you say to them?
I think my biggest advice is just be prepared to have to sacrifice. I think there's a lot of talk around balance and life balance, family and wanting kids. And I agree, it's super important. I don't know if it's 100% realistic, just from my current life, working 12 to 18-hour days every day, working weekends for many years. I don't know how I could have done it. When you have kids, I'm 40 now. So that's something I had to realize. I'm not going to have a family of my own. But for me, having a business was everything. That's all I ever wanted. So I fully support balance, but just be prepared that there's going to be a lot of times where you don't have balance.
Yeah, it's a schlep, especially at the beginning, when you're just, you're you and you have to find that first believer. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's even the mental capacity. Like, your brain is just like going 24/7. And so I found for myself, it's like, well, if I'm distracted by this, or if I'm distracted by this, it takes away from sort of that focus, and you just have to be laser focused. So.
Oh, laser focused. Did you ever have any sleepless nights as a result of building this incredible brand?
I think actually one of the reasons I have been able to do what I've done is I have a weird ability to be able to just turn things off. So I don't wake up obsessing or like ruminating on things. Like when I go to, I'm in my room and I've got my book in my hand or I'm watching Netflix, it's over for me. I don't I don't think about anything else. So, and I sleep really well, which is good. So, but
consider me jealous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I'm just weird that way. But I really rely on supplements. I think like L-theanine, magnesium. There's lots of things that you can take to make sure that you're feeding your brain and making sure that you're you've got that brain capacity where it needs to be for the next days.
We're already talking about wellness trends, so let's talk about some more wellness trends. Yeah. Are any of these on your radar? So number one, cold plunges. Yes or no?
Oh, yeah. I was actually just got back from LA 2 days ago and we were down there and I was just like, oh my gosh, like on every single block, there was like 4 or 5 cold plunge studios. And I was like, this is great. I'm a huge fan. I haven't experimented with it a ton, but something I definitely have read up on. And I think it's got incredible health benefits for sure.
Okay. And facial yoga. Not sure if this one's hit your radar yet.
Yeah, I use the guayusha and, you can kind of do things like that. But absolutely. Strengthening muscles, whether it be your arms, your legs, or your face, I think it's super important.
The last one is a little bit sneaky. It's mushrooms, but I feel like I already know the answer to this. You've got a mindful mocha as one of your frat pucks, but how about mushrooms?
Yeah, lion's mane mushroom. I've taken reishi mushroom over the years. We're working on a brand new product right now that's going to be a collab with Jules Huff. So that's going to be coming out in January, but we've got a formula that's going to be using another mushroom in there. So I'm a huge fan of mushrooms. I drink mushroom coffee. I just think they're very beneficial with like no side effects. So yeah.
Amazing. And then on that note, what is next for Blender Bites?
Well, I really do believe in focus. I think, you have to take your core SKUs and really focus on making those a success. So, our US launch is very much the focus right now. We're building this to sell. So the next 18 to 24 months is a very much a build North America phase. I feel like we've got Canada in a really great place right now. So just really focusing on the US market, making sure that we've got velocities on shelf. It's not just about distribution. You have to make sure your products are turning. That's super important. So, picking the right states like California, Florida, Texas, the hotter states where we know people love frozen drinks, putting our marketing dollars in a focused way into those areas to ensure velocities is super important. So, just building this out. We do have a pipeline of innovation that, we'll be looking at for 2024, but the next 2 quarters, it's very much just about building what we have.
Oh, that's so exciting. Any hints or no, we're not allowed?
Was that?
Any hints about that 2024 innovation, or it's okay if it's
I'm keeping that under wraps for now. Yeah.
All good. All good. Yeah. And where can we find more information about Chelsie, about you, or about Blender Bites?
Yeah, our website's great. We've got lots of information there, blenderbites.com, my LinkedIn page, Chelsie Hodge. I'm happy to, to have people reach out to me. I've got a lot of young women that I mentor or, come to advice for, or just, need to expand their network. So Chelsie at blenderbites.com, feel free to reach out. I'm here to help.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Chelsie, for being here. I'm so excited to see where Blender Bites goes, and awesome. I can't wait.
Thank you. I appreciate your time. Awesome. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Stand by to launch command.